Hey, welcome back. I have sort of slowed down a little bit. There have been quite a few knives bought lately, but slowed down a little bit in terms of like new knives. I'm starting to get a little more picky on what I buy. So I thought it'd be cool to do a video about some of the knives I actually carry and why. This is the knife I use the most out of any knife in my collection. I actually have an orange one of these in D2 in the garage that my wife and I use also, but this one does all my unboxing. I've sharpened it probably 3 or 4 times since I bought it almost a year ago. And it's amazing. This is just the basic Grivory OS 10A 80-20.5 from Demko. And it's a workhorse. After who knows how many times it's been flipped around and used and stuff, it's still perfectly centered. It's been opened, scales swapped out. It shows very little signs of wear if I clean it up. The blade still looks great with the nice stonewash finish on there. And easy to sharpen, doesn't get dulled too quickly. It definitely dulls a little bit. It's not the hardest blade steel ever. So that's like one factor for sure. But that's a common carry for me. I just don't have to worry about it. I use it for like a lot of my house projects. So if I'm gonna go do something in the yard and I want something I don't care about, that's my knife. Now I have a version of this that a friend, hooked me up with a custom Pocket Priorities pocket clip. And if I'm looking for something sort of in between, this is the S35VN. I'll cut with it, but I don't use it much. And that's a G10 version of the same knife, an S35VN. So that's one of my other knives I carry quite a bit. That's sort of my in between. Where do I go next? This is one of my next most carried knives, if not one of my most carried. In the summer, it might be my most carried knife because I wear shorts quite a bit. It gets pretty hot in Bellingham, Washington during the summer. Sometimes the temperatures don't read hot, but the actual feeling of it is hot. And there's 2 elements I really like about this. The pockets in shorts aren't as big, so like your stuff gets more crammed into it, things get scratched. I don't like the fact that this thing has been off center since like the second week I bought it. Maybe if I cleaned it up, it might fix it or something. I'd probably have to break this one down and see if it improved things, because I have noticed that these axis lock knives do come back around, but not quite as dependable as the Demko, I'd say, but damn good and really, really light at 1.5 ounces, and I don't have to worry about it too much. Grivory scales, some people complain about, like, you can feel them like squish a little or whatever, but I don't do like a lot of hard use with this thing or whatever. I just need an edge once in a while, and that does it really well. Sometimes, by the way, I carry a full-size Bugout just if I'm going to be doing a little harder work with it and I need a little more cutting edge or whatever. It's not that much different. This is usually more of a pants carry for me though. Like this isn't much smaller than this physically. It is a little bit, but you're only talking about 10 or 15% difference. So that's usually, I'll do it sometimes in shorts, but it's more of a pants carry, just looking for something lighter for whatever reason. Also on here, the budget end, I'm kind of starting with the knives that are in the $150 and less kind of category. The Wee Banter is a very common, sorry, I don't even know if I said, but mini Bugout and full-size Bugout. Wee Banter from Benchmade. Really great action on this. Sometimes it's just like a knife lever. I appreciate it. I really want to find some titanium scales for this because I think it would make it just out of this world. I'd love for him to do like a 2.0 of this knife, but I carry it because it's actually got amazing action. Like it's one of the best action knives. Really the only thing I don't like about it is the accessibility of the lock bar, but man, the action on this knife is just really good. Thumb stud, reverse flick, it all works. And then it carries, or it holds, it grips a little bigger than it is. So it's a pretty nice knife. I definitely use it once in a while, and it's a good one. Probably my next most carried knife would be this guy. Now I'm starting to transition some of the carry that I did with this knife into a couple other knives that I'll bring out, but longer term over the last year. The Tactile Rockwall for like my sort of gentleman's knife, quote unquote, or just more of a nice dinner sort of situation. That's one of my go-tos just because it's really compact. Like it's smaller than a full-size Bugout, and yet it's titanium and magna cut and nice and a little fidgety here and there if I want to. But that one's definitely high on my list of knives that I actually carry. Probably the next most carried would be this guy, VC Edge interface. Now it's newer, but just since I've gotten it, it's been a high carry rate for me, especially for the summer. If I want like a full-size knife, but the same weight as this, it somehow miraculously achieves that, and that is remarkable. So that's definitely a high common carry. You know, I'm gonna flip these over just because I think pocket clips are really relevant for a carry conversation. So you can see a little bit of, you know, which ones are or are not deep carry. Most of these you'll see are deep carry pocket clips, but not all of them. Like these two are not. This is almost deep carry, but not quite. You can't quite call it a deep carry. Okay, probably next on the list. Oh, gosh, is it this one? Probably lately it's been this one. Kind of an all-around, like maybe if I'm just going to my parents' house, it's not quite as fancy of an event, just looking for something to be fidgety with. The TW Price Dawn. Gosh, am I like totally messing this? VC Edge interface. I got to think about the fact that not everyone knows what every one of these knives are that are watching this video. TW Price Dawn is a very common carry for me just because it's such good action. And I don't have to worry about it too much. It's a $295 knife, so it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive either. So it's kind of a good in-between when I'm looking for something kind of fidgety. Similarly, but something I have to worry about more would be like the Brown Knives Mini FSD is a pretty common carry for me lately. Again, kind of playing more of the gentleman's knife, but it's quite a bit bigger, so I have to, you know, consider that if I'm going to carry it. But man, this thing is just an amazing knife, and I live in Bellingham, Washington, so like having a knife made here is really cool. The pocket clip is surprisingly good for as big as it is. It actually works quite well. I was expecting that to be more of a problem when I started carrying this, but it's really not. So awesome knife for a carry, from fidgetiness to a little story to talk about. That one's a great conversation piece. Probably my next most carried is this little Hinderer 3-inch. I got a really nice deal on it, and then I got a nice deal on the scale from a guy that I've bought and sold a bunch of knives with and talked to quite a bit. Big Hinderer fan, sort of got me into Hinderers at a level that I was not before. But this little non-flipper version ends up being a pretty light, like maybe 4-ounce carry, and it's a pretty sweet all-around full tie. Kind of a little bit of characteristic here with the two different colors and stuff. It's just a little bit fun. Yeah, I like this one. It's actually not a bad knife. That's a Hinderer XM-18 3-inch. That makes a decent little pocket carry there. Once in a while I'll throw this guy in the pocket. It's the CJRB Pyrite. I thought I was going to carry it a lot more than I do, but I find when I'm looking for a budget carry, I end up going for this guy a little more than this guy. They're both really fidgety, but I like the Banter's action like a little bit more. This would be the best fidget knife for 50 bucks. That's the best fidget knife for 100 bucks that I've had. So that one does get some carry time though. Less common, but once in a while, and I'm starting to carry it more just because I've become really appreciative of this M-Lock that Brian at Winterblade created. This thing is really cool. Yeah, just fidgety, fun, talking point with the magnets. There's just a lot of cool elements about the Winterblade Factor. So that's become a carry, not a common one for me because it's a little chunky and clunky. The shape of it's just a little funky for me. And so I don't carry it as much just because it's a little boxy. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Mirage kind of makes some adjustments when that gets here later this month. Or next, it looks like. The next one in line would probably be this guy, is the SPK Lamia. It's actually one of the ones that catches my eye that I kind of want to carry more often, but I worry about it. It's like a V1. He's not making them like this anymore, so I very rarely carry this, and when I do, I'm extremely careful with it. I almost want to like carry it in a pouch or something, and yeah, I'm really protective of this guy because I think he's changing them quite a bit as they go, and these original ones to me are becoming kind of cooler, more rare, and gosh, this one's just a beauty in this like full stone washed finish. It's extremely rare. There's probably only like 5 or 10 like that in the world right now. So very neat SPK Lamia variant that I love to carry, but I'm kind of afraid to. That one kind of interchangeable with this guy, the Oz Roosevelt in the Silver Surfer, or full stonewashed with Magna Cut blade. This is you know, like maybe a 6-month-old knife or something from late 2022, if I were to guess the build date, number 1058, it's right around there. Late 2022, early 2023, if I recall correctly. And this thing is just fantastic. It's very unlikely to show any wear, just maybe on the pocket clip where it doesn't have the milling. So mill resistant. I don't cut with it too much, but I got it from someone that had carried it, so I didn't have to worry as much about it. Had the pocket clip re-stonewashed, and it just looks like new now. So that thing is just one of the best knives ever. And so I, you know, have a lot of Rosies, but I still struggle to carry it just because of my collector brain and concern about the value and stuff. But man, that is an amazing carry knife. I just haven't quite gotten myself to get up the guts to put it to work as much as I probably should. On very rare occasion, I carry this Shamwari from Bull Knives, or formerly Gareth Bull. This is a GB sham, or a Gareth Bull made custom sham from back in the day, 2017 this one was made. So it's a bit older, and yeah, it's really, really nice. The action on bearings on this one is just unbelievable, and the fidgetiness is there and everything. Now you can't like deploy this in a ton of ways, so it's not like super duper fidgety, but it's fidgety in other ways, just being a front flipper and being able to deploy with numerous fingers and stuff. Very neat knife, and the only sham currently that I'm carrying, although I'm picking up a few more, so hopefully I'll be carrying them a little bit more than I am right now. I'll occasionally carrying this Ekko as a variant of the Pyrite. You know, it's definitely different Ray Laconico design, but it's essentially the same kind of button lock concept, but with a front flipper to kind of get a little bit of that fidgetiness. This is badly aligned, so let me, well, I guess I have to keep these in order, but size-wise, these aren't lining up well to make them fit on the screen. For like a full self-defense carry, which I almost never do, but almost more like around the house, answering the door, something like that, this guy might go in the back pocket. This is a full-size Demko AD 20. To me, not a reasonable carry knife for like a out and about, but maybe if I was going somewhere super sketchy, that might be an okay one. I personally don't like, main use case for me for knives is not self-defense, but that would be my folding self-defense knife if I had to have one. I have a few other variations of Demko like this. I think I've only carried this once though. This is a titanium version of the 80-20.5, but I very rarely carry that. But it is kind of a great all-arounder that did a little bit of what that does and a little bit of what that does with the clip point, but in a you know, a titanium finish. I just find this titanium finish kind of abrasive on the 20.5, so it's very rare. So I'm just not going to bring that one into the screen here. Let me rearrange these slightly so I can fit one more knife on here. And this is, I think I've only carried, another one I think I've only carried once, but a nicely broken in Rockstead that I got on the secondary for a very reasonable price because it was nicely broken in. Had a very, very minor chip tip. You can probably not even see it there, but let me see if I can zoom in on it for you. I think you can maybe see that now if I put my hand behind it. So it's very minor. That's 3x zoom. But man, the action on this thing is just unbelievable, and it does make a nice little talk point, and it's amazing in the hand. Like the feel in the hand on this with the nicely rounded scales is just amazing. And there's not many of these I feel like that are this drop shut. This guy fidgeted with this thing for over 2 years to make it like that, and it is amazing. You can even flick this thing out, which isn't really, you know, these things are more like a Chris Reeves. When I got it, it was like not centered. There was all sorts of issues with it. It was super dirty. I fully broke it down, cleaned it, and when I put it all back together, centering was perfect. It was actually really easy to take apart. There's just 2 screws to take this thing apart. It's an engineering marvel. I think my main reason I don't carry it is because I'm afraid to like dull this edge, because I don't really have a good way to sharpen that aside from sending it back to Rockstead. So that's the main reason I wouldn't carry that one, because it's not in perfect condition anyways. As a collector, I don't really care about using it. I just wouldn't be able to sharpen it. So that's not really utilitarian as a carry knife. It's more of one I use to kind of compare, like, how's the action on this knife? I'll pull this one out because its washer action is like one of the most remarkable in my collection, along with the Sham. I have, you know, a Sham on washers also. Unbelievable knives on washers. So I'm pretty sure these are the only ones I'm carrying right now. I might have forgotten one that's like stashed somewhere. I do carry Victorinox here and there if I'm going somewhere where I might need some additional tools. So I might have, I don't think I will have one at the desk right now, but I have one, you know, on my nightstand that I carry, Victorinox Scientist as well. Let's see if I have one maybe in my drawer here. This is not a Scientist, but, you know, generally something like this in a 2-layer is what I would carry if I was going to carry a Victorinox. So that is it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions on these knives, feel free to comment. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.